This is the book of Job, chapter 23, verse 12. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. Before I get on with this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai's peace be bestowed unto your hopeful elect. I'm your brother Yahweh Call from the Great Millstone Orlando camp. And again, as I'm here on the plantation, and again, drowned in my meditation and thoughts, as I always am, and most of us are, being that we need Yahweh B'Shem Shah more and more every day. We're clinging unto Yahweh B'Shem Shah more every day. That's why I started off with this precept and just understanding that, hey man, you know, we need Yahweh B'Shem Shah more than food, more than water. You know, it's an expression of how much we need Yahweh B'Shem Shah, man. All right, because of course, without Yahweh B'Shem Shah, we're dead. You know, we're through. We're nothing. And what inspired me to do this from here, I'm going to go to this in Job 12 and 7. Because real quick, pursuant to this, Isaiah 40, and ever since I came across this a while back, I've been fascinated, you know, just dealing with the animals and the creatures, right? Which is why I'm gonna go to that Job, but before that, I'm gonna go to this Isaiah 40 and 31. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. And you know, that's a spirit, because I'm going to go from there real quick. I'm going to go to this in Isaiah 35 and 6. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing, for in the wilderness shall waters break out and streams in the desert. So from there, I'm gonna go to this and I'm gonna jump back to that Isaiah 40. But from there, I'm gonna go to this, Job 12 and 7. But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not all in all these, that the hand of Yahweh hath wrought this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind? So, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go from there. I'm gonna go to this in Proverbs. Proverbs 6 and 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. So the point being, you know, dealing with the animals, the creatures, right? You know, Jake wants to be deep, man, but hey, the Lord is deep. Bear with me. Slack, I read that already. So dealing with the Job 12, I just read that, verse 7, starting at 7, right? I believe there's another one. And I'm gonna get to the point of the video. Yeah, Proverbs 30 and 28. Matter of fact, Proverbs 30 and 24. There be four things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The cunies are but a feeble folk, yet make they their houses in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet go they forth all of them by bands. The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in kings' palaces. So these precepts that I just brought out, man, dealing with the animals, the creatures, something that you may think is very insignificant, such as something as an ant, right? But yet, when you study the creatures and the animals and things of that nature, man, it's very fascinating, So I'll just bring all that to go back to this here in Isaiah 40 and 31 again, because this is what started my whole fascination and getting into this, and just studying the characteristics and the nature of the animals and creatures and things of that nature, right? Back in this Isaiah 40 and 31. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. And again, ever since I came across this, dealing with the eagles, again, this is what started my whole fascination with this subject, man. When it comes to the eagle, like I said, the Lord's going to renew our strength like the eagle. We will mount up as with wings as eagles, right? As eagles, as they get older, as they get more older, although it's a painful and uncomfortable process, nevertheless, the eagles, they go through this painful process of shedding their beaks, because that's their main way of that's how they survive, so they can go months, if I'm not mistaken, of this uncomfortable process, right, where they break off their beaks purposefully, on purpose, and what it does is it grows back in time, and it pretty much renews their strength. It adds another lifespan, so to say, to the eagle. Let's say the average lifespan of an eagle is 10 years. Well, once they go through that very painful and uncomfortable process of shedding their beak, breaking off their beaks, and once it regrows, it gives them another 10 years, so to say, and I'm just throwing that number out there because I forgot the actual number, but it gives them pretty much another lifespan, as well as their talons, right? But ever since coming upon that discovery, man, I've been very interested in this topic of getting into the animals and the creatures and things of that nature. All right, so just through the spirit, man, what I just wanted to touch on, right? Again, as I read If we need Yahweh Bashim Shai more than food, more than water, you know. I'm gonna go to this. What is that? Psalm 42. I'm gonna start at 1. As the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O Most High. And you see, bear with me. Bear with me real quick. Because, you know, certain of these animals, like fawns, you know, baby deers, right? Certain of these type of animals, they need physical touch in order to survive. You look at something like a spider monkey, right? It's another beautiful example. A spider monkey. When you look it up, in a lot of instances, spider monkeys, they would prefer physical touch because they're very clingy. They need physical affection, you know, such as baby deers. In a lot of cases, they will prefer physical touch and affection over eating, over food, actual food. Believe it or not, you know, you can look it up, you know. So, you know, just things like that, man. Just again, express how much we need Yahweh Bashim Shai. More than this, just more than food, more than water. You know, it's just very fascinating. Psalm 42 and 1 again. As a hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, O Most High. My soul thirsteth for the Most High, for the living power. When shall I come and appear before the Most High? So you see, just again, going into to show you the clinginess, how much we need Yahweh Bashim Shai, because I'm going to grab this. Was that Jeremiah 14? Jeremiah 14 and 5. Yea, the hind also calved in the field and forsook it because there was no grass. So what happens if a deer leaves the baby in the just out there to defend for itself? Well, for one, it can't defend itself. So the point being is through. Right? It said the hind also calved in the field, so she gave birth, right, in the middle of the field and forsook it. So obviously that baby deer is through, it's finished. And this is us without Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, that's like the scripture say, you know, compares us to being worms, right? Just through, we're dead. That's why I said, hey, we're dead without Yahweh Bashim Shai. And we're seeing that, we're understanding that more and more every day, man. You know, and again, it just makes us cleave to Yahweh Bashim Shai even more. You know, we cleave to Yahweh Bashim Shai even more. All right, like that, like I mentioned, you know, that baby deer, man. You know, that fawn or you know, that spider monkey, man. You know, they need that physical touch, they need that physical affection from the mother, which, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go to this. In Proverbs 5 and 19, let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. So you see, because they need that physical affection, man. You know, the nurturing, you know, dealing with wisdom, which wisdom makes us closer to Yahweh Bashim Shai, right? It says, let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. You see, You know, the scriptures, of course, talk about occupying in Yahweh Shema Shai, just being in tune with Yahweh Shema Shai as much as possible. Clingy. All right. You know, like a newborn babe on the mother's tip, man. You know, just clingy. You know, now as, you know, being in this flesh, that's why you have the parable of the unjust judge, right? And the widow and the unjust judge, right? You know, being in this flesh, that shit can be annoying. You know, Jake be wanting their space and whatnot, but when it comes to Yahweh Shema Shai, he doesn't get annoyed. He doesn't get tired of us. He wants us to be clingy, attached. You know, attachment issues, man. You know, on the way here, man, because I've just been down in my spirit, but just really having a heart-to-heart with Yahweh Shema Shai, praying to Yahweh Shema Shai, it really, you know, uplifted my spirit. You know, you feel the difference when you pray, man. That's why, like, you hear Apostle McCall always talk about keeping your medicine strong, man, praying. You know, this is what quickens us. Yahweh Shema Shai is what quickens us, and this is why, again, man, now more than ever, every day is a day that we need Yahweh Shema Shai more than yesterday. You know, just clingy, man. Cleaving onto Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, because hey, without this, man, hey, we're through. You know, we're through. Real quick in Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 14 in verse 22. Matter of fact, verse 20. Blessed is the man that doeth meditate good things in wisdom, and that reasoneth of holy things by his understanding. He that considereth her ways in his heart shall also have understanding in her secrets. Because again, wisdom is what draws us closer to Yahweh Shema Shai. And that's why you hear, brothers, hey, if anything, if you're going to chase, man, hey, chase Sophia. All right, because that's what this is saying here in verse 22 is the point. It says, go after her as one that traceth and lie in wait in her ways. So, hey, you're talking about stalking a bitch, right? Stalking a female, stalking a woman. Again, hey, stalk Sophia, right? It says, he that prieth in at her windows shall always hearken at her doors. He that doeth lodge near her house shall also fasten a pin in her walls. He shall pitch his tent nigh unto her, and shall lodge in a lodging where good things are. He shall set his children under her shelter, and shall lodge under her branches. So again, as I read before, always being ravished with her love, man. All right, clinging on to Yahweh Shema Shai with everything for dear life, man. All right, because at the end of the day, Yahweh Shema Shai is all we got. It's all we got. All right. Habakkuk 3 and Habakkuk 3 and 19. Yahweh power is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places to the chief singer of my stringed instruments. Now, again, you know, the fascination about, you know, the creatures and the animals and things of that nature, man. You know, you see those deers. There's a term for it. I forgot the term for it. Oh man, but you see those deers, man, on those, they're, and they do it with ease, you know. They do it with ease. There's no a lack of faith. When you see those deers, man, they climb those high and rigid rocks, those sharp rocks, right? Because, you know, it's all spiritual, you know. And again, this is, you know, when I mentioned dealing with the eagle, you know, bringing out that Isaiah 40, you know, ever since then, man, I just had this fascination, and everything is spiritual. Everything's spiritual. So you see those deers, man, with those like I said, he will make my feet like hinds' feet, right? Because it's all spiritual. I think they call it there's a term for it. I forgot the term for it. There's a term for it though. But it, you know, it can apply to us in the spirit, where in our rocky places, right? You know, when things are unsure, right? Where hey, we have that steadfastness, all right? You know, and of course, in Yahweh Bashmal Shah, he's our strength. So, you know, it's all spiritual, man. You know, you see those deers, man, and they're climbing those, cause you know, you watch those videos, man, and you know, you get that little feeling in their stomach, like they, you know, just watching something like that, man, you know, it's like, damn. But those type of deers, man, they climb those rugged and rough, sharp rocks, man. They do it with no fear, you know. And it's also spiritual because, hey, like I said, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places. So, hey, you know, just through the spirit, you know, clinging on to Yahweh Shemal Shah, man, especially when things are uncertain, unsteady, you know, cleaving unto Yahweh Shemal Shah, he's going to make our feet like hinds feet. He's going to give us that stability, that cool, calm collectiveness, that safetyness, you know, because one of the things about those hind feet, man, you see those deers, they have a certain steadiness, steadfastness, right? Precision, I guess you could say, you know, because for the most part, man, they don't stumble, right? You know, they're pretty steadfast, man. You know, and again, you know, it can apply to us in the spirit, you know. So it's all spiritual at the end of the day, man. You know, it's all spiritual, you know. I'm trying to think of that term because I forgot the term for it. But the best way I could put it is that just that steadfastness. That's the best way I could put it. I forgot the term for it. But that steadfastness, man, no matter how it looks, how uncertain, how rough it gets, or whatever the case may be, Yahweh Bashim Shah is going to give us, spiritually speaking, those hinds feet, the feet like hinds feet, man. He's going to give us that steadfastness because he's the foundation. You know, he's our foundation, right? And, you know, like I said, I'm just bringing up the points, man, just dealing with certain of those animals, man, they're clingy, you know, they need that physical touch and affection, or they could literally die without that affection, right? I'm gonna grab this real quick. This is one of my favorites to think of, meditate on, going to King David and his men. One of his men. Because this is how we have to be with Yahweh Bashim Shai. Second Samuel. Second Samuel 23:9. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Hoahite, one of the three mighty men with David. When they defied the Philistines that were there gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away, he arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And Yahweh wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. So the point being how his hand clave to the sword. And again, you know, just all in the spirit, this is how we have to be. All right. Cleaving to Yahweh Shemal Shai. Because again, without the Lord, man, we're through. All right. You know, clinging on to Yahweh Shemal Shai, man. All right. As I read in Isaiah 42, as one that's thirsty. Also, our spirit is thirsting for Yahweh Shemal Shai. We thirst, man. You know, desperate, man. We need the Lord. Because we understand without Yahweh Shemal Shai, we're dead. We are without. And that's a horrible feeling. That is a horrible feeling, man. You know, to be without, you know, that's a horrible feeling. You know, but this is how we have to be. It's all in the spirit, you know. I'm going to grab this last one. Grab this last one and just because. Psalm 144, just because, right? Psalm 144 and verse 1. Blessed be Yahweh my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Verse 2. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower and my deliverer, my shield, and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me. So again, you know, Yahweh Shema Shai, he's our fortress. All right, again, having that steadfastness when all, you know, when shit's rocky, all right, when shit's uncertain, or whatever the case may be, man. You know, we have that steadfastness, all right? Yahweh Shema Shai, he's going to deliver, all right, and bring us into the high place. You know, when it's all said and done, man, you know, Yahweh Shema Shai is going to get us out of it. You know, we just have to cleave unto the Lord, man. We just cleave unto Yahweh Shema Shai, like our life depends on it, because it does. You know, cleaving unto Yahweh Shema Shai, like it's a matter of life and death, because it is a matter of life and death. You know? So as I start off with, man, hey, we need Yahweh Shema Shai more than food, man, more than water. You know, to express how much we need Yahweh Shema Shai. So Lord's will, this was edifying. All praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully, like.